I think one of the biggest mistakes I see happen is people try to rush through things. They're trying to do it so quickly, and they're trying to focus on all the things that have to happen during that recording. And they get distracted by all the world around them, that if you just take a couple minutes of focus, make sure that's what your intent is and that's what you're doing, you're gonna make a better screen recording.
If you're gonna start recording your screen, turn off your notifications. They're gonna distract you, they're gonna distract the viewer, they're gonna take attention away from what you're trying to give attention to.
I love the analogy of setting up a physical camera and checking out what it looks like when you're on camera. It's the exact same thing with your screen recording. Make sure everything looks good and sounds good before you go to record that big, long, nice video.
Hey everybody, Matt Pierce, Learning and Video Ambassador. I'm here with Andy, Owen, and Justin Simon. We've got another great episode. We are going to be talking about the mistakes you might make when you are screen recording, especially if you're getting started. It's so easy to make just simple mistakes that will cost you time, effort, and just kind of frustrate you. So let's jump in here, gentlemen, because I think we've got a lot that we can cover, because I think we all, and what I think is great, our format here is we're all at very different levels of experience of screen recording. And I think for once, this one time, I probably am the seasoned veteran of the group.
Yes,
compared to the both of you. And Andy, I think
absolutely.
Andy, are you on the actually less, probably screen recorded less?
I might be. I was gonna say I'm definitely less than you. I was gonna say Justin may have. I don't know. I've been here long enough. I got
years on you. I've got years.
Okay, I definitely am the lowest. Good. That makes me feel better. So I can come in as the one who's like, I don't know. No, screen recording is a different animal than video production in general. So this is a good topic, I think, because a lot of people feel like, oh, I can press record on a camera. It's the same thing. I'll just record my screen. So much more to it.
So let's start off. So we'll set up a premise that I think help guide our conversation, because I think otherwise it will go crazy. So we're going to make some type of screen recording. It could be for any purpose, marketing, training, whatever. But let's start at the very beginning. And we're not talking about scripting, production, stuff like that. We're actually about ready to hit record. Where is the first thing? What's the first thing you think you need to do, or what's the biggest mistake you make first? Justin or Andy, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you the biggest mistake that I consistently make it has to do with mics. So either having the wrong mic selected or not having a mic selected at all. I one time made a 30-minute training video to walk somebody how to do something on the blog, and I didn't have my microphone turned on the entire time. I got into Camtasia, la-di-da-di-da, opened it up, and the track levels were at 0. And so
it was a 30-minute recording?
Yep. Well, I was recording a process, so my plan was to record the entire process, speed it up, and then I was going to narrate over it. But the problem with that is I did the narration, and I was going to tie it down. So then I had to try to piece together the narration with the it was a whole.
It hurts.
It was a whole thing. But
Justin, I wish I could say that I've never done that, but I think rather than not having a mic selected, I had my MacBook internal mic selected, and actually I don't know which is worse. I like no sound release. Like, oh well, there's no sound, nothing I can do. It's like, because you could almost go with the MacBook Pro audio, but it was just like grating on me, and like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, that's terrible. I did that with cameras before, where I have two very similarly angled cameras, right? So I've got my laptop's web camera, and then I've got my DSLR just above it. And if you pick the wrong one, and you don't notice because they're very similar when you're looking at a small thumbnail of it, and you just start recording, and again, it's like, well, all right, it's fine, it's good enough if I wanted to, but no, I got to scrap it and start over.
So, okay, we got one. Check your settings before you begin, because you're probably got something that is different. And I don't know, and I won't attribute this to Camtasia, but I've seen other programs that just keeps resetting, because like I have earphones that I pull in and out, and I've got a couple different microphones, and you can't guarantee that it has remembered, even though I think most modern programs should remember. I know Zoom is a bad offender for me for that purpose. It just keeps forgetting what things are. I think one thing that I notice is that, like, if I haven't walked through a screen recording the process I'm going to do, there's always something that goes wrong, like a pop-up or something opens in the, like, let's say I was going to Zoom is a bad offender about this too. I'm sorry, Zoom. We love you, but hate you. Like it opens up on a different window every single time. Like, so just forgetting to go through that process and see like, where's it going to open? Is it going to be inside of my recording region is one that I make that mistake too many times too.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I've done that before with particular programs where if you select, rather than recording your full screen, you might select a particular browser window, and it's only going to show that. So if you do have another pop-up or another window that's going to pull up in front of that, I've had ones before. Again, I've made enough of these where you record it, you get done, you watch it through, and you're like, oh, what I have on there isn't even on the screen, is it? Because it's an extra window that pops up in front of it, and you weren't even though it looks like you're recording it to your eye, you chose browser window and not entire monitor screen or whatever. So even those little tips again about like making sure your selection process is the same for what you're going to walk through.
Yeah, I made a video today just for a coworker, just for Jessie actually, and I wanted to just show her how to do something, and it was just a Finder window on my Mac, and I just recorded the Mac window, and when I typed something into the search bar, the drop down part that I wanted to show went off camera, like it just went off screen, and I was like, oh come on! So I just had to record just out of the Finder window. But it's funny you talk about like the things that pop up or pop off screen, because the mistake that I was going to bring up was things that pop up on our screens, right? So for us, it's notifications, whether it's someone messaging you in a chat app, or even not just on your computer screen when you're recording, but like your phone is sitting right next to your computer and probably near your mic. Did you put do not disturb on your phone? Guys, did you put do not disturb on your phone before we started this?
Go turn
check. Everyone check your phones.
Okay, we're good now.
So yeah, that's one of those things. Suddenly you hear off camera, and everyone knows what it is. So clearly
Ding.
takes everyone right out of the recording. Yep. Ding.
Wait.
There you go. Yep.
No, it's another great one, Andy. Just being aware of what is going to show on your screen, because and it was interesting. Again, there's lots of different contexts we could put this in, but I was in a meeting. I watched someone's pop up, and someone I don't know. But the first thing I did, I tried to read what that notification said, which is totally rude of me. It's none of my business. But it's like, oh, what did that say? It's I think just very common out, and people are going to do that. They're going to look at. I think that even goes into another one is just thinking about what is it that you're showing, what's on your screen in general. Do you want someone to see that? And that's everything from apps to thumbnails of like icons and things like that to, your background, your desktop. Like, is it appropriate? Is it, even if it's not, I'm not even talking about appropriate from like oh, that's inappropriate. It's more like, do you want them to see that? Is that the message you want to send to them, that you're, totally into that thing or whatever? Like,
or that I have 1,000 tabs open on my browser, or a million things on my desktop icons that I have to clean up. Yeah, exactly.
And that reminds me of a conversation we had on another episode where we were talking about what's on your camera, right? The distractions that are in your background. If I suddenly have a Funko Pop on screen, he fell off, but you get the point. If I suddenly have a Funko Pop on the corner of my screen, you probably can't see it in the window I'm in now. That's distracting. People are going to look at it and try and figure out what character is that and who is it and what's he a fan of. And it's like, no, just focus right here. I want you to see what I want you to see. And then the same is true of your desktop. Yeah, if you've got, even family pictures, which aren't inappropriate, but they're going to distract, because now it's like, oh, how old are your kids? I have kids that are similar. Like, that's not what the conversation is about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's just so many things. Like so I had someone reach out to me recently, and they're asking me for some advice about some videos they're making, and they're like, "Can you tell if these other people's videos, not their videos, if these other videos were made with Camtasia?" And I'm like, "Well, there's a sure way to know for certain." I went and I scrubbed through the video and I looked for things like desktop application icons, right? Like, which good or bad, but like, I know that if anytime you guys have your screens up, I will look to see what tools you're using, what things you're running, because I'm curious, and sometimes it leads me to think, maybe I want to try that out. So it's not necessarily all bad, but like you said, Andy, I think it's like, look at my eyes, I'm here, focus on me, don't get distracted by the shiny objects at the bottom of the screen.
Absolutely, and we're all curious people. So I mean, if something grabs our attention, we're going to focus on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say even the unshiny objects, right? Like desktop icon, that's nothing in particular, but it's a distraction. It's any of those pieces that are gonna take away from the actual content that you're gonna try to show. And again, it's sort of like we've talked about in other areas. You can do some things in the edit to try to maybe clean it up and hide some of it, but now you got more work in your edit than boy, wouldn't it be just nice if you had cleaned it all up ahead of time and just it's done.
Absolutely.
It's about saving time and effort, so you don't have to do that. Well, since we're talking, Justin, you brought up tabs, and we all probably know that Google Chrome, if you're a Chrome user, is, and probably the other browsers to some degree, kind of a bad offender about using processing power. And I am guilty of having too many things running, trying to do too many things at one time, but this can impact your computer's performance and impact the recording. So I don't know. I'm trying to look. Let's see. How many programs do I have running right now that I could shut down that I haven't? I'm guilty again, but I think just trying to hide some of this, turn off everything you don't need is another mistake people make, because and Justin, maybe you know this, Andy, maybe you know this, but it can affect your performance in terms of actual number of frames captured, because there's not processing power available. You can't actually capture more frames because the computer is going to literally say, I want to do these other things. I need to do these other things. So I can't dedicate more resources to your screen capture.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
No, that's a good reminder. That's a good reminder. I looked just when you said that, I did the, command tab on the Mac to see like how many pieces of software do I have running right now. I have 10. I should have shut some of them down. If I start getting laggy, we can all blame those things. In fact, one of them's Premiere Pro. I really should have closed that before we started this meeting. And if you see my eyes dart to the side in a minute, it's because I'm about to close it, because that is probably what's causing some lag right now. Because that, especially video editing software, is going to steal that processing power very much. So yeah,
Whoopsie.
I did it to be an example.
Good example, Andy. Good example.
Thank you.
Another mistake. Yeah, I was gonna say another mistake I'll add in, and it ties into my previous horror story of recording a 30-minute video only to find out I didn't have narration. Is, and we've touched on it in the past, but make a test recording before you dive into your big recording, right?
Totally.
Like if I would have just spent 5 minutes, I would have realized, ooh, I don't have, or honestly, sometimes with these external mics, you can have the external mute button on it. And so it looks active when it's in the program, but you've got it muted here. And so I'm like, oh no, I've got that right one checked. But then I look over and the red is on here. So that helps you solve, hopefully, the problems and learn from my mistakes.
And it's easier said than done, because I was going to say, well, you can always check, like when you're recording with Camtasia, like it'll give you a little audio meter. But man, you're right. If you see that it's green in the software, then okay, we're good to go. I've highlighted it. But you forget to check, like, is there meter? Is it actually getting any sound from me right now?
Mm-hmm.
And the light is flashing. It is not.
Or like what Matt said is it's picking up the wrong mic. So you're like, I'm green, good to go. And it's like, crap, it's picking up the one out of my it's picking up the one on my laptop and not the one out of my nice sounding mic, right?
Yeah. The test recording has helped me with a different problem, actually, which was recording size. So I thought even seeing like the recording size on my screen, thinking it was good, but then bringing it into my editor and realizing, that's not the resolution I meant to be recording at. I need it to be larger, and maybe I'll maximize the window to fill my space and get a larger recording. But yeah, if you don't test it, then you don't really know. And then if you've done a 30-minute recording, you're really going to be hesitant to go back and do it all over again. So best to do a little test slice first.
Yeah, I think similarly, especially when it comes to, like, I've got a 4K monitor, but then I've got a Mac monitor, which isn't really 16:9, and just having made that mistake of trying to capture something, then I've got some funky sizes to deal with. It's always best until you get to, I think you can avoid this a little bit later on once you know your system, but like I've still occasionally run into that problem where like because the resolutions on each screen is a little bit different. Just doing a quick practice, like you said, makes just a world of difference and saves. Again, this is all about saving time in the long run. Yeah, it's kind of a pain to like, I got to take that, bring it into the editor, but I'm not asking you to do 10 hours. We're asking you to do a 30 seconds and make sure things are working and it's going to look the way you want. Just Andy, I'm guessing you probably do this with the cameras, right? Like you set it up and you're making sure it looks the way you want it to look before you actually are recording the stuff that you're going to go live with, or not live with,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
edit.
Right, even for post production, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna record a test clip. I'm gonna play it back. I'm gonna make sure that I've got the audio. I'm gonna make sure that it's in focus. I'm gonna make sure the colors balance the way I want it to. And it's the same with screen recording. You're gonna kind of make a little mental checklist. Does this look right? Am I cutting things off? Am I showing too much? And I mean, a lot of times, like you said, you can cut things out later in post, but how much work do you want to do afterward? So we can mitigate those things by cutting them out from the recording area before you start. Camtasia especially will default to like your entire screen, which is great, but it'll show its own recording light, which doesn't really matter. But again, if we want to get rid of as many distractions as possible, there's that red flashing light for Camtasia at the top, and I usually just kind of start under that screen, and that way I just show the whole of my desktop. And it's just one more thing that I tried to do to kind of make it a little more precise for a screen recording.
But how will I know that you're using Camtasia if you don't record that part,
And I
Andy?
thought about you. I thought about you when I was thinking about when you said that. I was like, oh man, I would be his worst nightmare because I try to hide everything that I'm using.
Which is fair, right? Like, and I don't think that's the intention to try to tell people that way. But it's like you said. I love that you said it's a distraction. It's one motion, movement, light changes. They draw the eye, and you want to avoid that if you can, because that's not the thing you really want your viewer to notice.
Right. I mean, why do you think police use a flashing light? It's to get your attention. So if you want to not get people's attention with distraction, get rid of the flashing lights. Get rid of the the blinkies. I don't know, the blinky lights, whatever they are, the flashing icons.
Okay,
Derailed
so
a little bit.
We've talked about that. What are some of the other challenges that you guys have run into, mistakes you've seen beginners make that you would warn our audience against?
I think a big one. Oh, go ahead, Andy.
Well, I was just going to say, and maybe you were going to say something similar, but winging it for the first time, I've never done a screen recording before. I know the process I'm about to show somebody. I can just press record and go, and it'll be fine. That's usually not the case. For some people, absolutely you can do it. Matt's done this for a long time. Matt can wing some things, but I bet even Matt's going to tell you, nope, it's better when I'm prepared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always better.
Especially
it's always better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially for external, internal. I've got to send somebody some feedback on something, or I've got to show some data. Unless it's a super wide share out where I want it to look really nice and really good, and maybe last a little bit longer. But yeah, anything you're kind of putting out to the world, probably a good idea not just to go wing it. And it's for all the things we've talked about in other episodes where you're going to talk about more things than you think you're going to. You're going to ramble on probably a little bit. You're going to go off topic. So I think, yeah, having it at least rehearsed in some ways is going to be super helpful.
Well, and it's even going to help you with that. Well, I'm sorry, Matt, I could tell you're about to say something, but it even helps you with that walkthrough piece, right? Where it's like, our thing that Matt said earlier, are things going to pop up on screen? Is it going to require a password at this point? Oops, I wish I'd already put in the password. Oops, I wish I'd already done this. Now you have to watch too much of the behind the scenes work of getting there and not enough of the actual point of my video.
Or edit it all out.
Yeah.
Spend time, having to cut all those pieces out. And make sure those now does your story still work for how you were going to line those up? And maybe you got to go back and re-record that one thing. And again, all of the trouble that goes with re-recording. Make sure your sound your voiceover sounds the same. Make sure your screen resolution is the same. Like all of those little nitty-gritty things that if you didn't just go ahead and wing it, you'd be better off.
Well, I was going to say, I think with all of these pieces of advice, there's a sliding scale here of how much you need to do. Because Justin, you brought this up that for an internal, if I'm just giving feedback for somebody, and I know it's not going to take me 30 minutes, it's going to take me 5. Maybe if I don't do all the tests and do everything, it's fine. If I have to spend 5 more minutes, yeah, it stinks, but oh well. But as soon as it's going to go public, or it's going to be something that you want to have, in terms of your trifecta of quality, fast, and cheap, you want it to be high quality, you're going to have to spend some time doing these things. And if you don't do them, even if you're not burned that first time, there will come a time where you'll feel like, oh my gosh, I just wasted this time. It's not the quality that I want now. But so be flexible. I think my point is be flexible here, right? Just it's not a one size fits all for all these But the one that I want to make sure we hit on is, and I've had to do this recently. So what you can't see behind this side of the camera, other side of the camera, is another table. And my oldest son, who's doing college virtually online, that's his workspace. So I have a shared office of all things, right? And I have to make sure every morning we go through the schedule and I say, okay, well, at 11 o'clock, I'm doing this presentation. At 2 o'clock today, I did the live stream. At 3:45, I'm recording the jam session. So that like he knows a couple things. One, if you're going to be in here, you can't talk during those particular times. Other times, like people have been in the calls with meetings with me, they hear the Spanish in the background or whatever he's doing. But also he knows not to come barging in. And there have been a few times when I've had to be like, I'm off camera going, my hand's going like this, get out of here, to like the 9-year-old, because they didn't realize the sign is up. I'm recording, but it's, I think it's less of a big deal than it ever has been. 2020 did us that favor. However, those distractions, one, it distracts me from the thing that I'm doing, but two, it can introduce noise. It can introduce other problems that, again, I don't want to have to necessarily try to go back and edit and fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and distracting you may be even the bigger problem here. Maybe not the viewer. The viewer, again, is accepting of the world we live in right now, and a lot of us are at home, and a lot of us have those distractions. But man, if you're on a roll and you've got a train of thought going, to not alert people that you're recording and to have them suddenly come into your space just pulls you out of what you were doing such a good job of, and really can mess things up. So, and not intentionally, it's no one's fault necessarily except my own for not putting a notice up. My son actually plays video games down here in the afternoons, and knowing that we were recording, I said, hey, why don't you take the Nintendo Switch upstairs with you today? Because I'm going to need some quiet downstairs. And so I can hear him laughing and talking to his friends upstairs, but he's not doing that down here. So,
and Justin, Andy knows, he said we're doing a good job. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah,
we try.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I think we're getting close on time here, so I want to make sure that we get things wrapped up. So as we do this, we always like to take our final take. Before we do that, because if you don't get through the final take, that's fine. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the Visual Lounge podcast. Let us know what you think. Rate it, leave a review, do whatever you're doing, because we want to get better. We want to make sure that we're providing things for you. And one thing I'll say is that if you have questions, you want us to address a question, leave us some feedback. You can email thevisuallounge@techsmith.com, and we'll take that question. And who knows, we might just turn it into an episode where we talk about your question and give you some advice. So let us know. We'll be posting that around in other places as well. But of course, as our podcast listeners, we want you guys to have that opportunity to interact with us directly, because frankly, we think it's way more interesting to answer your questions than just to keep telling you things that maybe you don't care about. So, all right, let's roll into this. So probably should make you rock, paper, scissors before the show starts to see who's going to go first. So Justin's ready. Justin, you want to start with final take?
Yep. Yeah, my final take is, please just make a test so you can see sound, or so you can hear your sound, see what your screen looks like before you do it. I love the analogy of setting up a physical camera and checking out what it looks like when you're on camera. It's the exact same thing with your screen recording. Make sure everything looks good and sounds good before you go to record that big, long, nice video.
Perfect. Andy.
If you're going to start recording your screen, turn off your notifications. They're going to distract you. They're going to distract the viewer. They're going to take attention away from what you're trying to give attention to. So just go into your computer. If it's a Mac, do not disturb. If it's a Windows, I'm sure you guys have solutions too, but I don't know them. And quiet the computer so that you can focus on what you're doing.
Also, good advice. I'm going to go in a little bit of a slightly different direction. So here's what I want to say for my final take. It is so easy just to try to power through and just record things and think about it as like any other thing, like you're just, building a website or, writing a Word document. But I think what you really need to do before you record, in addition to all the great things Andy and Justin said, take a moment and find yourself a little bit of quiet space to get into the space of what you're doing so that you can focus. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see happen is people try to rush through things. They're trying to do it so quickly, and they're trying to focus on all the things that have to happen during that recording. And they get distracted by all the world around them, that if you just take a couple minutes to focus, make sure that's what your intent is and that's what you're doing, you're going to make a better screen recording, because then all these other things will fall into place because you'll have taken time to make sure you're ready to do that and to record well. So that's the final take. All right, guys, thank you so much again for such great advice, great conversation. Always look forward to it. Again, don't forget to tune into the Visual Lounge podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and we will see you guys all next time.